Hi, I'm Dan Lagani with Silver Solutions, the senior home services company, and welcome to an all-new episode of AgeWise. Our goal with every episode is to make you a little smarter about something you'll need to know as you or a loved one grow older. And today, we're doing something for the very first time in our nearly 50 episodes of the show. We're speaking to someone from our own company, Silver Solutions. I was joined by my business partner, Laura Olivares, a professional organizer and one of the most deeply experienced senior move managers in the country. She stopped by to share her insider tips on how to create low-stress, high-success downsizings for older adults. So if your mom or dad is looking to move into a more suitable space, including assisted or independent living, after being in the family home for decades, this is 15 minutes that is must-watch and guaranteed to make that transition easier and less stressful for everybody involved. Laura Olivares, thanks so much for joining us today on AgeWise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Laura, in your experience, what is the 2 or 3 or 4 things that anybody that is looking to help a parent, a loved one, an older adult move from their current space into a new space, what are the most important things to consider?
So it's a good question. So first of all, I know that after doing this for so many years, older adults sometimes are interested in this downsize relocation, but most of the time they're pretty overwhelmed by it. And the reason that is because they're likely moving from a very large home, potentially the family home where they've raised their kids, babysat their grandkids. There's tons of memories in that home. And now we're asking them to go from maybe a 4-bedroom home to what essentially could be a 1-bedroom. Sometimes they're lucky enough to go into a 2-bedroom space. And that's not even discussing whether that's an assisted living, which is a whole different change of life. It really is just considering the change of their environment. That can be really hard because now we're asking them to choose their favorite pieces. It's like asking them to choose their favorite child. Sometimes that's really difficult.
So do you have a process that you think would be easily translatable to people that are watching this to say, these are the 2 or 3 things when it comes to building mom or dad's wish list that you should focus on? And if so, what are the most important considerations for paring down?
So I think when you're just starting out, I think it's really important to listen to your aging parent about what's important to them. It's not about what's important to the adult children. Right. So a lot of times we have this conversation with the adult children where the daughter is saying, please don't make us bring the ugly green chair. It's horrible. We really want to buy mom something beautiful from, let's say, a West Elm. Well, one of the reasons we might want to consider bringing that green chair is because that's the chair that mom has sat in every day. Or maybe that's the chair that she sat in with her husband when they were married. And there's so many reasons why you want to surround your mom or dad with the things that are really important to them. That's going to make the transition easier for the older adult. So I would say, listen to them about what's important. Ask them what would be the most meaningful pieces to be surrounded by. What's likely is you probably know this as an adult child because at dinner or at any family gathering, your mom or your dad has been telling you stories about the favorite chair, the beautiful piece of artwork that we got in Italy, the favorite piece that my grandchild, they're actually telling you through everyday conversation what's important to them. Those are the things that you want to try to surround your mom or dad with as they're going through that downsize and relocation.
What are the other things beyond building the wish list that you think help make that transition easier and better and just create a happier starting point in the new home?
Well, it's interesting. When you talk about the wish list, the adult children can absolutely start to build that wish list with mom and dad. But what a move manager does is takes that wish list and really confirms and breaks it down into a reality list. And the nice thing about, let's say, a move manager doing this with mom or dad is that there's not all the opinions about what's going and what shouldn't go and what you should leave behind and what's not important. To me, it's the last thing the older adult needs is to have anything that's important to them diminished. What we're focusing on with the older adult is what's important to them, and then what can physically and logistically be put into the home that makes it feel warm, safe, comfortable, and surrounding them with a portion of the items that we're bringing from their home.
I want to ask you something before we go further, because you've used the term now a couple of times, a move manager. So let's talk about, we are, as a company, we provide senior move management services. But maybe you can give a sentence on what a senior move manager is and how that's different than a mover, because that's a regular question that we have to answer for people that are going through the downsizing process. So what is a senior move manager? What do they do? And how is that different than what you're going to get if you only hire a mover?
Well, I'll start with what a mover does. What a mover does is pack your items, transport them from point A to point B, drop them off. That's what a mover does. A good mover may help you slightly take the hanging clothes out of the wardrobe boxes, put them into the closet, take the wardrobe boxes away, and they leave. That's what a mover does. What a move manager does is they do everything else around that physical move. So I always, the wraparound services. We're going to work with mom and dad to prepare that wish list. We're going to complete a floor plan to make sure that the items on that wish list can safely fit into the home. We're going to work with the older adult or the adult child, depending on who the decision makers are. Hopefully it's both, the adult child and mom or dad. We want to decorate the home to have it feel like a smaller, more intimate space that resembles the space that they're leaving. One of the things that some move managers specialize in, us being one of them, we specialize in recreation. And recreating smaller, more intimate parts of someone's home is very important for the older adult as they transition. They're saying goodbye to a very big part of their life, and the move manager is there to help usher them into their new space. It's not, we love our movers. We couldn't do our job without our movers, but the move manager is the one who actually softens the blow, makes it easier. By the way, it also shields the adult children. Right? They don't have to have these difficult conversations with mom and dad. That's what we're for.
You hit it right on the head in terms of the emotional element of it. And, I think that the idea of outside help, whether you choose Silver Solutions or somebody else, the process goes easier when it is not the same family member that has been harping on their mom, harping on dad, that you can't be in this home anymore. The stairs are too difficult for you. You're climbing over the bathtub. You're going to fall. It's a different voice. It's a friendlier voice. It's a voice that's more likely to be accepted when you go to somebody from the outside. So why is it even more important to get help to complete the move at the back end when you're an older adult that's transitioning?
Well, if we think about it, the physical part of it in itself, the actual physical opening of boxes, bending over, lifting all the items. So we're doing the physical part of that unpack settle in, and we are removing the debris. We're doing all the heavy lifting. And then we've had these conversations before the move, so we know what the recreation looks like. How should the table next to mom's favorite chair be set up? We consider and photograph what's going on inside of mom's bedside table that has been her bedside table for the last 50 years. We want the same items to be set up the same way if that's going to be what has mom feel comfortable. She's been reaching into that same drawer for 50 years. I want her to be able to reach into that same drawer exactly as if she was in her previous home. That's important because we will have just changed everything about the rest of her world.
I do want you to touch on the adult children, and I was going to ask you a specific question that we hear sometimes, which is, well, I can do that myself, can't I? Well, so why should I use you? Why don't I just do this myself for my mom or dad?
It's interesting. So I get asked that question all the time. And by the way, as an adult child, you absolutely can. People have been moving their family members for years. What I think most adult children have no idea about when they're transitioning their parent from their home let's just use an assisted living community. Forget moving them across state. That's a whole different ballgame. But just to an assisted living community, the adult children have no idea the amount of work that is going to be needed separate from the move. The amount of doctor's appointments, the amount of conversations, the amount of paperwork that needs to be filled out, the amount of all of a sudden legal conversations are coming up. There is so much involved with your parents' transition that needs to be focused on. The move manager focuses on the relocation, the part where this is going to be the nice wrapping over all of that work. And imagine as an adult child, as you are caring for your child, trying to be a good husband or wife, trying to be a good son or daughter, trying to fill out all that paperwork, trying to stay calm. You are so burnt out by the time you get to the move part. You don't care if you burn the green couch. You don't care what's going on the wall. You just want it over and done with. And again, going back to the actual physical move is so important to mom and dad's transition. That's why it deserves extra care. It's not that an adult child can't do it. We're trying to allow them to do the things that they have to do so that we can focus on the thing that's going to help mom and dad stay healthy in this new space.
Laura, one of the things that some people may have been experienced with, but we see it on a regular basis, the number of bad movers in the world is extraordinarily high. If you check Better Business Bureau, it's often one of the categories with the highest rating of, bad experiences for consumers. So what do you look for when you choose the right transport partner for a move? And what should people be thinking about if they're going to try and do a move on their own? How do you source a good mover? What are the 2 or 3 things that you should ensure are in place?
So for me, having really good full coverage insurance is super important. I also want to work with movers that are familiar with working with older adults, not just saying, oh yeah, we move older people. Moving an older adult, you have to be calm, patient. You have to be ready for if mom is standing there and she approved the furniture plan 2 weeks ago, she may change her mind. She may need some changes happen. So the movers have to be compliant and patient and understand that this is not a come in, drop it, and go.
We do a lot of moves at Silver Solutions where we downsize someone from a home into independent or assisted living in a community-based setting. Is there anything special about that kind of move that people need to pay attention to?
Separate and apart from the logistics, it's the emotion. Imagine what it was like for us when we would start a new school, right? Or we're going from junior high to high school. Oh, I just got goosebumps saying that because I remember what that was like. It's the same, except now you haven't done something new in so many years, and now you've got to go make new friends. You've got to learn a new way around a building. That is so overwhelming. Again, why you want to make some of the other parts of this transition so much easier, because they're going to have their hands full. So I think sometimes it gets forgotten that we're not only moving mom or dad, we're now asking them to start a whole new life. And when was the last time they had to do that?
Yeah, boy, that really is such an important point, and it underscores that the role of the family caregiver, whether you're a child, an adult child, whether you're a friend, in the case of a downsizing and a transition, in particular into assisted or independent living, is to be there for the person. It's not to be there to unpack the boxes. So I want to end on a different note here. The move happens. It went really well. What's the big surprise that no one thinks about that they have to deal with after that transition from point A to point B is done?
What am I doing with everything we didn't relocate?
Absolutely.
Do I have a second to talk on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's interesting the way that not every move manager does things the same way, but one of the things that we do that we have found that really makes a big difference for our clients. Some move managers have the client live through the actual downsizing, the purging, the editing, the dismantling of their home, and then they do the relocation. We have found over time that how our clients do best is if we move them through the relocation first, it allows them to shop from their home, choose their favorite items, have something to look forward to, and go into their new space. And what they don't realize is that without having to go through the arduous touch every item, they've made a lot of the big decisions. So now they're in their brand new home and they're working on their transition. The actual home emptying, as we call it, the balance, that is so much easier now. We have some clients that love it. They treat it as a project. They'll come and they'll work with us for a few hours and then they'll go back to their beautiful space. So they get to be a part of it all. But really, what does it entail? It entails more packing of items, donating, discarding, potentially reselling if there are items there of financial value, bringing dealers in and buyers in, that kind of thing. As a side note, please don't do things like put stuff on marketplaces, have people come into the empty homes. That to me, that is dangerous. But there are private buyers and dealers that most of your move managers should have access to. And that's a safer way if there are actually items for financial value. Then you basically get the home ready for sale. We ship the items to other family members if there's family distribution. We shred the documents because we all know if you've been living in a home for 50 years, you likely have about 40 years of tax documents and receipts and all of the things that you've kept because you had the space. Most of those things should be handled appropriately, shredded. So there's a good handful of vendors that need to be brought on, managed, and then just the labor and the work of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I often tell people that it didn't seem like much, but you brought in a box a week for the last 40 years. It's a lot of boxes to deal with by the time it's ready to move on and make that home ready for whatever's coming next. Laura Olivares, co-founder of Silver Solutions and my business partner, professional organizer, senior move manager. Thanks so much for joining us today on this really special episode of AgeWise, where we talked about the emotionally charged issue of downsizing mom or dad from their family home into assisted living or some other more suitable space as they get older. If you like this episode of AgeWise, please share it with a friend. And if you want to get every episode of AgeWise when they come out, just subscribe to it at the Apple Podcast platform. For all of us here at Silver Solutions, I'm Dan Lagani. Thanks again for watching. Stay safe and be wise.